How's it going, YouTube? Got Pat Mac here, coach of the Sacramento Saints / bringing you our draft introduction for my restricted Rampage team. We're actually several weeks into the season at this point. It's just been an insanely busy time for me at the start of this year. So I've played quite a few games and then finally sat down to talk about the team and introduce it, and then I'll start getting videos out for the games and whatnot. Huge shout out to Ted for putting together a exhibition team for us to play against. You'll see that going on in the background, so you'll obviously see a handful of Pokemon that I've already picked playing in that game, and I'll just talk through what I picked, why I picked, kind of stuff, and introduce that stuff. I think I may also have some gameplay from Miss Mag. I ended up with both of them just because one of the games ends up being a little bit shorter, but you get to see some more of the team, so that's kind of cool part of it. So anyway, huge shout out to them for joining and well, not joining, for putting together exhibition teams for me to just play some games against y'all. So yeah, like I said, we played quite a few games at this point, so I've actually had a chance to experience the team a bit. So I'll try not to talk too much about how it's been going, and just talk more about the teams and try to remember my thoughts at the time when I was drafting this. But yeah, you might catch glimpses of what I think of the team currently during the conversation. But yeah, I'll try not to bring too much of that into this. Anyway, so this is for restricted Rampage. Just if you're unfamiliar with the format, super high power level format. We allow basically everything is allowed. There's no bans on anything. It just, if you want it, you can get it, basically. So there's all sorts of crazy Pokemon in here. There's the insane weather setters like Koraidon, Kyogre, and Groudon running around. There's the Cali forms. There's the Zacian and Zamazenta forms. So you kind of get a sense of what we're up against. So my first pick actually went for calyrex-ice Rider. Really excited about using this one. I have not tried it yet, even from last gen. And so I really wanted to grab it. It just I don't know, it seems like a really cool Pokemon. The stats or whatever I've prepped against this Pokemon are just it's insane. When you get to dump all of your stats for your speed, everything else gets to be that much higher. So the attack stat is insane, the defense and SpDef stats are insane, HP is really good. I mean, 100 is not amazing, but it's it's good. And so yeah, I'm super excited to use calyrex-ice Rider. And so that was just the start of the draft and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I actually didn't think I was going to get this Mon. Last season when we did the drafting system that we had, it went for so many more points than what I got it for, because I just went uncontested, so I got it for its base point value, didn't have to pay anything extra for it. But yeah, I kind of assumed that I wasn't going to grab it, and I had already started looking at what are other Pokemon that I want to try out that I haven't used at this high power level. So anyway, I grabbed calyrex-ice Rider first. Pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to use. And the next Pokemon I paired with it was Eternatus. So my main thought process behind getting Cali and Eternatus was that I wanted something slow and something fast. I kind of like having those restricted duos that kind of attack the format in different ways. So Calyrex really wants to have Trick Room going on, and Eternatus is just it's one of the faster restricted ones. So getting that really high speed tier at 130 and having the low speed tier of calyrex-ice at 50 was kind of a cool combination, and something that I was definitely thinking about when I drafted this too. Not to mention, I just as a general sense don't do a great job of picking up speed and fast mons early on in the draft, so I was kind of keeping that in mind as well. One thing that's potentially not great for these two mons together is that they just don't have stab options for hitting steel types. So that's something I kind of try to avoid when I'm picking up restricted pairings like this. So there's almost a bit of a I don't know, self-handicap going on here. I don't think this is the best pairing. So if you're trying to emulate what I'm doing here, this is probably not. I wouldn't suggest this if you're like new to the format and you're just trying to pick the very best team possible. I kind of picked these because I haven't used either one of them. They do have some good things going for them, so it's not all bad, but yeah, not having stab options for a specific type is something that it's not great. And in fact, I don't have, like, these two Pokemon don't have, like, their stabs are resisted by steel, you know, so it's not even just that, like, oh, well, I don't have super effective for it. Like, yeah, that's gonna happen. Like, basically every combo of mons that you have are gonna have are not gonna have super effective coverage for everything, but for this, it's like they're not very effective against steel, and that's kind of a problem. So yeah, something that I definitely thought about for the rest of the draft, and I was trying to make it so that I could help handle those steel types a little bit better than just my restricted mons. But yeah, like I said, not the most amazing pairing, but I think I'm okay with it, just because I wanted to use both Pokemon. One thing I do really like about them is that they have different speeds, right? So like I've got some diversity in speed tiers. A lot of the restricted Pokemon, or these really high-powered mons, like tend to have around the same-ish speed. Like 90 is a very common speed number for a lot of them, so not having that here is kind of nice. And then one is physical, one is special. So like that's obviously something that I look forward to. So I'm attacking on two different axes here. You can't just go like a full physical defense team against me. Like, you got to be able to handle Eternatus attacks coming at you too. So definitely something that I thought of and was keeping in mind. After that, I grabbed Heatran, and I mean, main thing there was like, I'm not great against steel types. Like, maybe I should have something that hits steel types. So Heatran was that mon. Not to mention good steel Pokemon is like kind of hard to come by. So I was definitely looking to grab something along those lines. Fire typing here is obviously nice as well. So like I have the Flash Fire to like switch in on Calyrex attacks coming toward that, just because weak to fire. The ground weakness is not amazing, but of course with Flash Fire, like Grass Tear is obviously amazing for it. Bug isn't bad either. So that's kind of a nice bonus for them on. Yeah, and then the next one I grabbed was Zarude. This is just a Pokemon that like I've wanted to try in doubles for a while. I really like it in singles, but I haven't used it in doubles before, and so I wanted to grab it here. I think we had it fairly cheap. I forget who it was, but there was some discussion in mod chat about like moving it down, and like it just isn't used in this format very often. So I thought we moved it too low, but I also didn't have like a lot of great reasoning or experience. Like this Pokemon, it just hasn't been picked in Restricted Rampage or Mythical Mayhem before, so I just didn't have a lot of experience to draw on in terms of like how good or bad it is. So yeah, I drafted it. I thought it was a little low on our price list. But nobody went for it this early, and I grabbed it. Main idea here is I just wanted a way to hit waters. Water typing is pretty good against calyrex-ice, just because it resists the ice type attacks, and so I kind of expected water to be something I'd have to fight up against. Not to mention, like, it's good against Heatran as well. So yeah, I figured why not grab Zarude. We can kind of attack those water types as well. And then you'll see a pick later on, but I guess I'll talk about it here for just a moment. But I was also wanting, so grass, electric, right? Like those are the two things that hit water types. So because I got this physical grass type, I was really looking towards special electric types, which are not hard to come by. There's a ton of them, but just something I was kind of keeping in mind during the draft as well. So I could kind of attack that typing that I tend to struggle with, also on two different axes. Next I picked up was Rabombi. I just wanted some good speed control. I really wish this Pokemon still had speed swap. That would be so sick. I would 100% speed swap my Calyrex-ice and just make it hella quick. That would be so good. I mean, it's basically, let me do some quick math here. That's like, it's like adding 74 worth of stats onto Calyrex-ice, and making its worst stat like one of its better ones. Which would just already take like the base stats up to like insane levels. So yes, a little sad to not have speed swap anymore. Rabombi from last gen with this Calyrex-ice would have been, that would have been so good. But yeah, I wanted some fast speed control. I need a fairy type here. I didn't particularly care if it was like a strong fairy type. And the reason kind of behind that was, like my best 2 mons are already not great against steel types. Like, why do I want to have another Pokemon on my team that is not great against steel types? So my fairy was always going to be like struggling with steel types, so I just figured like let's get one that is more supportive and not a big offensive threat, because I just am gonna struggle to really support that and make it use of it. So Ramambi was here for the support. Next pick was a Ringaroo. A Ringaroo just pairs really nicely with calyrex-ice. You just Trick Room, you Instruct, you Glacial Lance, you Instruct Glacial Lance, you Glacial Lance, and you Glacial Lance some more. Yeah, so Ringaroo is really just here to kind of support calyrex-ice. I mean, it does reasonably well with other stuff too. Just having Instruct on any kind of move is good. Instructing, like he turned his Sludge Bombs or Dynamax Cannons or Flamethrowers or Fire Blast or whatever, right? Like it's got some good stuff available to it. So yeah, I like that. It's got some cool abilities, you know, just being able to being one of the like more reliable Trick Room setters. By like if you can't pick it out, right? Inner Focus is so good for that. And then I don't know if I really have anything that takes advantage of telepathy per se, but that's okay. Like Inner Focus and Symbiosis are just really good abilities. And so being able to transfer over an item to a partner is also like kind of nice to have as an option in prep. Next mon I grabbed was Blastoise. I figured Blastoise, I mean actually, so okay, let me kind of pause for a second. So after the 6 Pokemon that I mentioned before, I was at a bit of a crossroads in terms of what I wanted to get. I think after a Ringaroo, the main types that I wanted to get were Fighting, Ground, and Water. Like those were the 3 big ones. Oh, and Electric. Sorry, I forgot that too. So Water, Electric, Ground, and Fighting. Those are the really important ones, because I need to make sure, one, that I just had like the best type in the game. Like, well, I think Water is just the best typing in general. And then I wanted to have Electric to hit the Water types. I wanted Ground and Fighting to hit the Steel types. And so those were like the main goals that I wanted from the rest of my draft. There were a handful of different Pokemon I was looking at this point, and I was chatting with a couple people during the draft too, and we actually had a little bit of overlap, so I kind of passed on something that might have been worthwhile to grab, but I also think that Blastoise was a really good pick for me too. I think Blastoise is kind of nice. At this point, I didn't have any Fake Out, so I think grabbing Fake Out on the team is good. And then this is just a very bulky Pokemon. So having the ability to pivot, like being great with different items, you can go like very offensive with Shell Smash kind of stuff, is also pretty cool. A little less common. I don't probably try it as much during doubles, but in singles, obviously that's great. That's not what this is. But yeah, so Blastoise was kind of there for just the wide variety of things it can do. I think it actually helped to fill a speed gap. Maybe? Oh, never mind. No, I had Heatran. It was like the same speed as Heatran. Yeah, never mind. But anyway, yeah, just having Blastoise, so that was good. Good and faster, slow modes, so that's kind of cool too. And I think after the Blastoise pick, I had the rest of my draft lined up. And so I went much lower in the draft, because the next 2 Pokemon that I was going to get, I don't think anyone could really afford them. And I think I even had like another few options after that too. So I grabbed Stonjourner as my next pick here. I've had Stonjourner in this league before. I think I had it with a Magearna team not that long ago. So I kind of enjoy having the power spot option. It's not great. Yeah, it's just not a great Pokemon, unfortunately. Like I would actually even just appreciate if it was just like stats spread out. Like if it didn't have as much attack, if it was just like high HP, defensive stats spread out a little bit, like make use of Power Spot a little bit more. Like you don't need Power Spot on this like 125 base power attacker, right? Like I'd much rather have it be a little bulky, a little more defensive. Rock is like terrible typing defensively, but I don't know. It has a lot of issues. I often find myself struggling to bring it. But it is a cool Pokemon. It's kind of nice to have the option of Wide Guard, even if I don't use it very often. So that part's kind of cool too. Oh yeah, so that was the next pick there. Yeah. Anyway, and then the next two picks were, I was trying to fill out those things I talked about. So I wanted electric, I wanted ground, I wanted fighting. So the next Pokemon I grabbed was Sandy Shocks. And my next pick after that was already locked up, so I already knew what I was grabbing there. But Sandy Shock's main idea was that, like, I want the electric typing to hit water, I want the ground typing to hit steels. And I'm doing it from the special attacking side of things, whereas Zarude is attacking from the physical side against those waters, and my next Pokemon will attack from the physical side for the fighting type to hit steels, so that part is kind of cool too. I don't really have anything in terms of the way of like photosynthesis synergy in any way. Like, I probably would rather not have Sun up on my team, but it is kind of nice to have that option. Like, if I'm against a Sun team, like maybe I bring this with some extra speed. So I get the speed boost from photosynthesis. I can even go like Scarf and like Electroweb if I want to get some extra speed control. So like there's some stuff that Sandy Shocks can do and help out against these matchups. And especially because there are so many weather teams in Restricted Rampage because of the Kyogre, Groudon, Koraidon stuff that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, so Sandy Shocks was nice. Yeah, and main goal there was to help beat up on water and steel types. Pretty basic. And then the next one I grabbed was Annihilate. I kind of looked pretty early on about grabbing something with Defiant, and I think I debated back and forth between like Annihilate and Galarian Zapdos quite a bit. I don't know if like one is necessarily better than the other. I just ended up with Annihilate as the mon. But yeah, so having the Defiant ability is obviously insane. Like, it's really good to have that option. So that people are not trying to bring Intimidate against calyrex-ice. Like, that's obviously really good. And then just fighting Ghost is just good typing. So main idea there was I just wanted to make sure I had like a good mix of offenses and some dissuade some things that are common in VGC prep. But yeah, I feel very good about the team. I'm really pleased with how it came together. I think the like support that I gave to calyrex-ice and Eternatus, I think it's there, and so I'm excited to play through the season. And like I said, we're like over halfway through, and I've been having a good time with the team. It's been a lot of fun to use. A lot of the Pokemon are pretty sweet, and I'm just having a good time with it. Anyway, once this video comes out, I'll probably try to put out the next couple weeks of videos that I'm like very behind on. And hopefully I can finish putting out all those videos like before the season ends. That would be ideal. But we'll see. It's a busy time in my life, you know? So I just got to figure out what I can do. Anyway, if you'd like to see some of those videos, or just follow along with the season or any other seasons that I play, I do a ton of different draft leagues, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, if you'd like to see all that, just stick around, like, subscribe, and all that things, and I'll catch you on the next one.